Fred Dibner over there. Brian Blessett's love child. Wicked. Motors out. Good afternoon, YouTubers, and we're back again, obviously, working on this. There was another video, by the way, that Gregor did for about the supercharger install and everything, and the ethos and everything, how it's being done and what he's done and whatnot. So obviously I will upload that as a separate video, so you can see other people are on stuff. So yeah, I've just got up to the workshop, up to the folks' garage and keep hearing noises. Obviously got the log burner just about getting ready to go because it's getting cold. You can see the breath. My coffee's there, so I'm ready to get cracking on that. Recap, last week obviously we did quite a bit. We did the exhaust and we did the turbo itself. And the first thing I'm going to do is take the turbo off and I'm going to clock the outlet. I think again, clocking it, bringing it this way will sort that the problem of the room and everything. Once that's done, the radiator. Now, last week I did find here lots of stuff, oil drain. Oh, my ECU's got to go back, by the way. That's the other thing. It suddenly stopped talking to the laptop, and for some odd reason, I don't understand why. Speak to ME221 have been great about it. They've basically went through a couple of little tests and stuff, and then I tried more than one laptop and everything, and they've said, yeah, there's a problem with the RS232 port, the serial port for people who are on IT, which is good because it's 2 years old or 3 years old, and they've said, yeah, we'll take it back and we'll just fix it and send it back to you, which is kind of fantastic, really. But the problem is I needed to have that work anyway because otherwise I can't tune the car. So that's got to come out and be shipped off. So I've found the original box and everything to come in, and we'll get that sorted. That's shipped off, so that's one other thing. But the radiator supports, which I forgot to show you last week, are here. So I've never offered these up to the car, by the way. So let me just grab the other side of the camera. So never offered up to the car. I'm going to have to take the boost pipes out. But I believe I've got the measurements. The V8 radiator goes around about there. Now you can tell just by it's going to come forward like a couple of inch. Yeah, I'm trying to think where it is. But you can tell it's going to fit anyway. So then obviously the only problem is I think I want to cut a hole in them for the boost pipes to go around. I think probably what the best thing is take the boost pipes out and then work around the problem. If it means I've got to cut a hole in them, then I'm going to cut a hole in them for the boost pipes to go through, which will be around about there. I mean, it's going to be tight. So the radiator's pulled forward. Yeah, going to have a problem there, I think. But it needs to be done. Is it that way around there? Maybe it's that way around. But it comes forward around about there. With the radiator needs sorting. That is just, it's not ideal. So I may as well put it to the V8 position and then work around the issue with the boost pipes, I think. Obviously, as I said last time, fix one thing, 100 other things to do, so do the turbo first. So, the turbo's only held on with a couple of 13s at the moment, and they're not particularly very tight either. He says. Now they're not. Let's make sure nothing else is going down in it, to be fair. I don't think this. Why the hell did I pick a rounded headed one? Strange. The turbo brace, loosen that a little bit. So we can get out. Sweet. Right. Now, take the boost pipe off. There we go. That's it. And that lifted it out with it down pipe on before. There she blows. Right, put it on the bench. Okay, so she's on the bench, so you can kind of see what I'm about to do. There's a pie cut, so that's actually just a sleeve, so they can join together. Because it was two open ends, so just a sleeve to put in there. To be honest, I could weld it in on one side. Make sure that's gone in because I don't want to lose it. So yeah, it's just a sleeve to go in. I might weld that actually. Then there's a pie cut there, straight down to a, I think it was a 30 degree, I believe it was. It might be a 45 actually. And then that was the step you saw before. Not bad penetration on them welds there. Then obviously into the 90 on that flange. So what you need to do is get the spring pliers out, spring washer pliers and retaining ring pliers, focus, which are just, and get it down there and just pop that. So we'll take that one out. Let's put some gloves on, Nathan. Right. Bought these especially for doing the turbo. I used to have a good set actually, but I lent them out years ago and somebody broke them. So you've got internal and external. They come with all the section, all the different type of degree 90s and stuff and straights. I think it was only about 15 quid as well from Machine Mart. So heads up Machine Mart if you need a set of these, but they're brilliant. I mean, I've used them twice, and this turbo was practically seized. The ring was, and it broke it free perfectly. So it was a tough cookie at first. So yeah, if you're after a set, might as well buy one set that's going to last you. And I'll tell you what, you can't go wrong with. I mean, someone's going to tell me about a scare story or something about them, but they work. So let's get this one off. Well, actual fact, what we'll do is I think, to be fair, that might pop off anyway. Start up with it. Because there's no split pin in there, it's rusted through. Nice little pry bar. Just pry that baby off. Yes, there we go. Right, well, obviously, as you know from last week, I undid the other part of the actuator anyway, because when by clocking it, we're going to have to. Oh, well, it don't matter really. That's fine. That's all right. Can deal with that. Right, let's give this a go then, shall we? Do it by 90, so there we go. The good thing about these pair of pliers is they've got a clamp on them, so once you've set them, they're not going to move, which is always a good thing. So it means you've got to bloody hold the pliers closed. I mean, I'll set that to the toughest setting, or closed, and it will just hold there. So. Battery out of the way. I knew the actuator was going to get in the way. Come on. Thinking that way. Right, so basically it's going to point straight up at the engine bay, and I'm thinking, my idea is, because the turbo sits pretty low anyway, yes, that puppy, like that, bit of an elephant wang, but may or may not work, who knows, I'm going to know. So I'm going to put this back on the cart and let's see what it looks like, and then we're going to have to work out how we're going to do this actuator, which is probably going to be a pain. Yeah, it's probably a bit of a pain. So I think it's aluminium, isn't it? Yeah. Oh, if it was steel, it'd be amazing. Just weld to it. But the actuator is going to go here. So how the hell make a bracket off the engine bay? Anyway, let's see how that looks now. Right, knew and I've cracked in the end. So here we go. That's the angle it's going to come out of the turbo at. This is about there, as you can see. So all I need to do is, if that's welded on there, ish, like that, it should, I mean, you could do it with a straight piece to be fair, which I might do, but that will bring it over, or I can do it that way to bring it over there like that. So at least we know it's going to work, and that's going to do the job. But it's the actuator, which is caught. There we go. Yeah, the actuator is nowhere near, even with that. Okay, now you can see the gravity of the issue. There is the actuator. Well, the actuator's here, and there's the arm. So, I think this needs to come out. Well, it should be in line-ish. Could go there. Could make a part that comes off, and then brace it off the. Make another hole in it with a wing like that, which has got a steel bar going up to the same similar sort of brace what the other one's got. Yeah, let's get this off because I can't take that out. Let's work that out whether we can do that. Okay, that's the next thing. So I'll get that off. Need to put mole grips, and then I reckon there. And for its thing, I can temporarily bolt a piece of steel to it, something like that. Needs to be longer than that, and then put a wing on it to stop it from flexing. Get what I mean? We shall see. Let's try it. Right, got the clock into the turbo exactly where I need it, and pretty much exactly how it should be. Let's do this. Stop the camera grip from moving in front of the camera. So that's about where it should be. So we know obviously the bend over there is going to go on it. Then the problem is the actuator. So at the moment I've kind of, looks a bit pikey, but made a just a bracket to make it a bit more of a remote actuator. Now the idea is, because it works completely fine, but I don't know whether you can see. Let's try it. I don't know if you can see that. You see it moving. Okay, so I've had a trip over the wood. Had a redesign with a turbo actuator. So obviously the brackets wouldn't work no matter what I did. So I've gone with a V bracket. I need to put a bigger, longer steel bar on there, but there is no movement now. So that's absolutely rock steady. Obviously that needs tightening up, and there'll be another nut there anyway. But that is pretty nifty. I think that'll it'll do the job. It's not moving anywhere, and it just means that that thing's steady, and let's say no movement at all. So chuff with that and take it off now, clean it all up, make it look a bit better, and go from there. And then it's going to be the rad next, which really needs sorting. But like I said before, it's these which I'm bothered about really. Moving it forward, having it straight up, and we'll see if we can use those mounts. We might have to cut them up a bit, and then cut them so the oval goes through. But the problem I've got is that, so I'm going to have to keep the turbo on while I do it, because I need to have them in the right position. But another problem. So let's get this radiator drained. Found my drain pan outside, so get it drained. I'm not going to keep the fluid that's in it because it's been in there a while anyway. Get it jacked up and take off that bottom hose if I can get it off. But of course, by doing what I'm doing, the bottom hose, yeah, just realised it's going to also cause a problem. The bottom hose itself uses a that's a VW T25 or T5, I think they're called. Don't know. The transporter bus comes further forward. I don't think that pipe's going to reach. We'll see. I've got a long one anyway, but it's got to do a 90 at the top, which is going to be a bit of a pain. We'll see. Right, get it out. Okay, batteries are got to go. Radiator's out. Now I've come across a problem. There's going to be too much meat on these cut away, and the radiator is going to flop because they're only tin. And I was trying to think the reason why I'm doing the radiator move. Doing the radiator move really just to tidy it up, but this has worked for such a long time, and it just needs cleaning up really, and just making it look a bit prettier. So while the engine's out, obviously I think I'll start cleaning stuff up with it, but it's just the boost pipe's going to be in the way. It just causes too much of a knock-on effect. However, when I was turning the caravan with it, I did notice that it was getting a bit warm. Now I think it's because possibly you can actually see a bit of a line. That line there, I think that is behind a steel box section on the car underneath. It's like a strengthening rib that runs straight underneath there, which I've bolted the. Get to autofocus again. I've bolted the. Come on, there you go. The intercooler to. So the intercooler is down here, and you probably, I don't know if you'll be able to see it actually. Where do them bolts go to? All them bolts. So yeah, it's like a strengthening rib that goes between the two chassis legs. Now moving the radiator forward means I've got to cut into that, which is a big no-no anyway because of IVA and everything in the UK, which I'm not prepared to do at the moment. No chassis rails or anything have been cut into, so I'm thinking instead of that, because that might not be efficient, partially because there's a bit of it taken up. It might not be that much, to be fair, taken over. I think I just upgrade to an aluminium rad. It'll look nicer in the bay once I've cleaned it all the bay up and everything. It really needs it because there's bits of rubber and stuff from the old belts. Also, by moving the radiator, I'm going to have the hose problems, which I know, pardon me, at the moment the hoses can fit completely fine. So I think I'm going to ditch the idea of moving the rad forward. I'm going to just clean everything up. We know all the sort of the way the fan mounts works. Now the way the actual mounts themselves are fine on both sides. It doesn't look too bad. It needs levelling off a bit because the radiator's just sticking, goes down on the left hand side a bit. So I can sort that anyway because that's just the way the radiator sits. But yeah, I think I'll order a aluminium rad. So that means I reckon tomorrow, because it's now getting a bit late, I'll pull the motor out. I'm going to spend this evening cleaning up these, making them rounded and everything, and make it look all a bit nicer. Because otherwise, if I don't do it now, I'll do it eventually, and I'll just leave it, and then I'll turn up at a show and it looks like that, and it looks a bit crap. So I'll make it all look a bit neat and everything. But yeah, I think tomorrow, I think it's time to pull the motor, which is exciting because then I can clean the bay, which really needs it, and we can do the oil drain. The oil drain might not be done tomorrow though, but we'll see. And that's about it really. So I'm going to sign off for tonight, and I'll see you in the morning. Obviously all of this will be in one video, but I shall see you later. See you in a bit. Bye. What's up guys? Right, back in the workshop again this morning. Going to take the engine out today. Obviously I played about with the ideas of the radiator yesterday, last night. I think I'm just going to leave the radiator where it is because of the extra issues it's going to cause me if I do move it. So we know it works fine there. I'm going to upgrade the radiator to aluminium though, which is kind of exciting. But yeah, apart from that, sorry, there's a bit of like stuff floating around in here. Apart from that, yeah, I'm going to get the engine out today. Gregor's coming over to give me a hand. It shouldn't take too long, to be fair. I'll take the fan shroud out, and we'll just get it lifted out, and that'll be about it, really. Probably drain the oil and drill the oil pan for the turbo outlet, but that's about it. So yeah, happy. See you in a bit. Right, so what I've done now is mark up all of the ancillaries and everything, so like water temperature sensor and everything. Now, generally I know where they all go because the engines come out so many times, but you can guarantee something will get left off. So just mark TPS, fuel 1, fuel 2 for the fuel returns, injectors, coil packs. So I think that's most of the stuff, to be honest, apart from the starter motor, which is obviously underneath, which I'm going to start on doing now. But that's about it really. I'm going to take the turbo off as well because then also need to just reduce some of the weight. I've drained the oil. Apart from that, she's practically ready to unbolt the obviously the gearbox mounts. I've noticed one's missing though, which is a bit of a bind. I just don't know how come one of them's disappeared, but hey, I'll find it. I've got a heck of spares every time I strip an MX-5 down. I tend to keep things like head bolts and stuff. I just tend to keep everything in the nuts and bolts that generally get used, sump pans and stuff, just in case. But yeah, so I'm going to get obviously everything's marked up, and I should be able to get it out in a moment. Anyway, Gregor's on his way up again, as he says. So and then once she's out, plop the engine down, and that will be cleaned up, and I'll order some paint for it and everything. I don't know whether to go with Austin Green, which is the colour the MGB engine, all general British Leyland or BMC, British BMC, British Leyland, Rover kind of stuff, early days stuff, all came in a kind of a green colour, like an olive green. I'm wondering whether to do the olive green again, which my old block, which is down there. If I can zoom in, let's just get it zoomed in. That one there, which is my old, what we thought was a dead block, that was in the Austin green. But then again, kind of like that red. So this camera really doesn't like this zoom button. It's like it's sticking. Anyway, focus, turbo. Yeah, so obviously it's going to need repainting anyway, and just looking a bit more pretty. This has got to be changed colour as well. I think stay with the pink, but just to not have the glitter. But that's just simple stuff. So I've got to start bolting everything on the gearbox end, and then pull out the engine hoist and lift that sucker out. So see you in a moment. Right, take two. The engine hoist decided to detonate itself. Right. Question is.
Right, well, what just done with it?
So, no. What did you just do with it?
See ya.
Did that? What fun did? You pass me the torch off the top, off that thingy down the bottom, that trolley.
It was down here.
Yeah, I put it back. I think.
Oh.
I wasn't sure if I took off this engine bolt all the way, undid it, because it could be this that's holding it.
Well, this side's definitely through. Right bar. Is that what's holding it?
I think so. No, it's not. It could. You might need prying off it, but
It might be the.
just need. Might. I think it's.
It worked.
Yeah, exactly.
Couldn't get it back undone, but.
So what we can do is we'll pull her out, set her on the floor, put the car back, and then get the dolly out and get you put take the jack
I'll
out.
let you drive, and then I'll hold the engine still. Stuck on a dolly over that side. Yeah, if you turn your wheel. Right, there we go. When was the last time you used a timing belt?
Before I put the engine in.
Put it on.
The motor is out. So that's about it for MGB workage, but obviously Gregor is now doing his, when I'm cleaning windows, is now working out his supercharger mount.
Chop that off there.
Yeah?
Move that down. Look.
Yeah. The angle grinder thing's in there. And I've also just picked up from Floydy Boy, hardtop, which we now need to, well, I'm going to figure out why Greg is doing his bits and pieces. Needs a paint, but it'll do the job for now. So, anyway, another sign off. So I'll see you next week. Catch you later.